Have you ever felt trapped in a situation where the more you tried, the less you mattered? The harder you chased, the further they pulled away? It's like pouring water into a broken cup. No matter how much you give, it's never enough. But here's the harsh truth. Sometimes the strongest move isn't to fight, fix, or prove. It's to walk away. Not as a sign of defeat, but as a declaration of power. When you walk away, you're not giving up, you're rising above. You're showing that your peace, your dignity, and your self-worth are not up for negotiation. You reclaim your power the moment you stop handing it out. Welcome back to Stoic Spirit. In this video, we'll uncover the silent weapon that breaks egos, rebuilds self-worth, and commands respect without a single word. We're not here to play games. We're here to master ourselves. Stick around because the last principle will shift how you view every relationship forever. And if you find value in this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's dive in. Number 1. The unspoken power of absence. Your absence screams louder than any argument. When you walk away, you create a void. And humans hate voids. They replay memories, fill in gaps, and often regret what they took for granted. Absence forces reflection, making people face not just the loss of you, but the value they failed to acknowledge when you were present. Example, think about someone who regularly showed up for you, a friend, a partner, a mentor. When they were always there, you might have overlooked their efforts. But the moment they stepped back, their absence felt heavier than their presence ever did. This is the psychological phenomenon of presence blindness. We often only see the true value of something when it's no longer available. Absence isn't just physical, it's emotional too. You might be present in someone's life, yet emotionally checked out. That emotional absence can be even more powerful than physical distance because it forces others to confront their own emotional dependency without the comfort of your reassurance. Stoic insight. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Walking away is not avoidance, it's mastery over your own peace. It's choosing not to expend energy proving your worth to those incapable of recognizing it. Your silence becomes a canvas where others paint their regrets. Practice. Step 1. Pause before reacting. When you feel the urge to explain your worth, stop. Take a deep breath and ask, is this explanation for clarity or validation? If it's the latter, remain silent. Step 2. The 48-hour rule. If you're tempted to send an emotional message, wait 48 hours. Time reveals what emotion tries to hide. Step 3. Mindful reflection. Instead of focusing on their absence, reflect on how your presence benefits your own growth. Journal about the space you've created and how it can be filled with self-improvement rather than longing. Step 4. The observation test. Observe how people react when you withdraw your energy. Do they reach out genuinely, or do they only notice your absence when it inconveniences them? This will reveal who values you for who you are, not just for what you offer. Your absence is not just a statement, it's an opportunity for both you and them. While they confront the void, you embrace your own expansion, discovering parts of yourself that were overshadowed by their presence. While absence creates a void in others, emotional detachment ensures that void never controls you. Let's dive into how mastering detachment gives you ultimate freedom. Number 2. Emotional detachment, the ultimate freedom. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to not be controlled by others. Emotional detachment is the art of maintaining your peace regardless of external chaos. It's the quiet strength to say, I am whole with or without your approval. When you detach, you remove the emotional hooks they use to pull you back. You stop giving them the script to your emotions, and instead, you reclaim authorship over your narrative. Detachment isn't a lack of emotion, it's emotional discipline. Example, think of a puppet with strings. Every reaction, every plea is another string they control. Cut the strings. Walk away with your dignity intact. Consider the story of Marcus Aurelius facing betrayal. Instead of lashing out, he wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's detachment, responding with grace, not grievance. Mindset shift. I release the need to be understood by those who refuse to understand me. Have you ever experienced a moment where detaching gave you unexpected peace? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you reclaimed your power. Practice. Step 1. The pause method. Before reacting to provocation, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If not, let it pass. Step 2. Emotional journaling. Write down moments when you felt triggered. Identify the root cause. Was it the event or your attachment to an outcome? Step 3. Visualization technique. Imagine your emotions as waves. Instead of drowning in them, see yourself standing on the shore, observing without being swept away. Step 4. Redirection ritual. When tempted to engage emotionally, redirect that energy into something productive, exercise, art, or learning. Transform emotional energy into growth. Detachment isn't about building walls, it's about setting boundaries. It's not coldness, it's clarity. The moment you realize that your peace is non-negotiable, you become unshakable. Once you've mastered detachment, something powerful happens. You stop reacting, and that's when the power dynamics shift in your favor. Here's how silence can become your strongest statement. Number 3. The shift in power dynamics. When you stop reacting, you shift the power dynamic. They expect you to chase, to beg, to plead. Your silence confuses them. Your absence forces them to face themselves without the distraction of your attention. Power isn't about control over others, it's about control over yourself. Scenario. Imagine arguing with someone who refuses to engage. The more emotional you get, the calmer they stay. Who holds the power? The one who controls their emotions. In relationships, whether personal or professional, the person who maintains composure often dictates the tone of the interaction. Think of historical figures like Marcus Aurelius or Nelson Mandela. Their strength wasn't in loud declarations, but in their unshakable calm under pressure. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategic restraint. It forces others to sit with their own discomfort, realizing they can't manipulate your emotions. Example, picture this. You send a heartfelt message, pouring out your feelings, only to receive a cold, one-word reply. The imbalance of emotional investment shifts the power dynamic, but flip the script. Imagine responding with brevity or not at all. Suddenly, the other person feels that void, questioning their influence over you. Mindset shift. My peace is my priority, not your reaction. Practice. Step 1. The power pause. When provoked, pause. Breathe deeply and ask, is this reaction about them or is it about me needing validation? If it's the latter, choose silence. Step 2. Emotional audit. Reflect on interactions where you felt powerless. Identify moments where your reaction gave away control. How could silence have shifted the outcome? Step 3. Role reversal exercise. Think of a time someone's silence unsettled you. What emotions did it trigger? Use that awareness to understand the silent power you hold. Step 4. Practice deliberate non-reaction. In a non-critical situation, intentionally hold back from responding to a minor provocation. Observe both your internal response and the other person's reaction. This strengthens your emotional endurance. The key isn't to suppress your emotions, but to master them. When your inner world remains undisturbed, the outer world loses its grip on you. This is the true shift in power dynamics, moving from reactive to reflective, from controlled to in control. Shifting the power dynamic is just the beginning. The real challenge comes when you realize closure isn't something you receive, it's something you create. Let's explore the art of moving on without it. If you're finding value so far, consider hitting the like button. It helps us reach more people on their own growth journey. Number 4. The art of moving on without closure. Closure is often a luxury, not a necessity. Waiting for someone to give you closure is like waiting for a thief to return what they stole. You don't need their permission to move on. The belief that closure comes from another person keeps you tethered to a narrative where your peace depends on someone else's acknowledgement. Stoic reflection. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Closure isn't found in their words, it's found in your decision to let go. True closure is internal. It's the moment you decide that you no longer need answers to heal. It's not about understanding why they left, betrayed, or hurt you. It's about accepting that they did and that you're still standing. Example: imagine standing in front of a locked door. knocking repeatedly, hoping someone will open it to explain why they closed it in the first place. The real power isn't in waiting, it's in walking away from the door, realizing the explanation doesn't change the reality. Mindset shift. I owe myself closure, not them. Practice. Step 1. The letter ritual. Write a letter to the person or situation that caused you pain. Pour out every unsaid word, every emotion. Then, don't send it. Instead, burn it. Watch the flames consume what no longer serves you, symbolizing the release of emotional baggage. Step 2. The mirror exercise. Stand in front of a mirror and say aloud, I choose to let go, not because it didn't matter, but because my peace matters more. Repeating this affirms your commitment to self-liberation. Step 3. Closure journal. List what you think you need closure for. Next to each item, write down how holding on to it has affected you. Now, write an alternative. I release this because. Shift the focus from what was lost to what you've gained in resilience. Step 4. Visualization technique. Close your eyes and visualize the emotional weight you've been carrying. Picture yourself physically setting it down and walking away, feeling lighter with every step. What's one lesson you've learned from letting go, even without closure? Drop it in the comments. It might inspire someone else who's going through the same journey. Key takeaway: closure isn't a door someone else closes for you. It's a door you choose to walk through, with or without an explanation. The freedom lies not in their words, but in your will to move forward. Once you've let go of the need for closure, you unlock a new chapter. The glow up. This isn't about revenge, it's about evolution. Here's why focusing on your growth is the most powerful response. Number 5. The glow up effect. The best response to being undervalued isn't revenge, it's evolution. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you stop caring who notices. Ironically, that's when they do. Your glow up isn't just about external changes, it's about internal transformation, the kind that radiates confidence, peace, and self-assurance. Imagine this. You were once the person waiting for their message, questioning your worth with every silent hour that passed. They moved on, thinking you'd stay the same. But you didn't. You chose growth. You hit the gym not for attention, but for discipline. You read not to impress, but to expand your mind. Months later, they stumble upon your life, whether through a photo, a post, or a fleeting memory. And they don't recognize you, not because you've changed, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that once needed them. That's the glow up, becoming someone even your past wouldn't expect. What's one personal goal you're working on right now that's just for you? Share it below. I read every comment, and your growth could motivate someone else today. Example: imagine being overlooked for a promotion. Instead of stewing in resentment, you channel that frustration into growth, learning new skills, taking on challenges, and becoming so competent that the next opportunity seeks you out. The same applies to relationships. When someone underestimates you, let your progress be the loudest response. Stoic reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Focus on thoughts that empower, not diminish. Your growth isn't for them to see, it's for you to feel. Mindset shift. I am not defined by who left, ignored, or underestimated me. I am defined by who I become in their absence. Practice. Step 1. Set a personal goal. Choose something that excites you, unrelated to anyone else's expectations. It could be learning a new language, mastering a skill, or pursuing a fitness goal. Step 2. The progress journal. Document your journey. Write about your wins, no matter how small. Over time, this journal becomes a testament to your evolution. Step 3. The 90-day challenge. Commit to 90 days of focused growth in one area of your life. No distractions, no excuses. At the end, reflect on how far you've come, not for validation, but for self-recognition. Step 4. Celebrate in silence. Achieve milestones without broadcasting them. Let your transformation be evident through your presence, not your words. Key takeaway: your growth is your silent revenge. The goal isn't to prove them wrong, it's to prove to yourself that you were always right about your worth. When you glow up, you don't just rise, you shine effortlessly. Ironically, when you focus on your growth and stop seeking validation, that's often when people start to notice. But why do they always come back? Let's uncover the paradox of absence and attraction. Number 6. Why they always come back. Here's the paradox. When you no longer need them, that's when they return. Not because they've changed, but because your absence confronted them with their own emptiness. People often don't realize the value of your presence until they're forced to face the void you left behind. It's not about you being gone, it's about what your absence reveals to them. Picture this. You used to send heartfelt messages, hoping for even a simple reply. They'd leave you on read, convinced you'd always be there. But then, you stopped. You focused on yourself, no longer checking your phone, no longer caring. Time passed. One day, their name pops up on your screen, but this time, your heart doesn't race. You glance, smile faintly, and move on. They didn't come back because they missed you. They came back because your silence forced them to face what they lost. But by then, you've already found yourself. Have you ever had someone come back after you moved on? How did it feel? Let's talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Example. Think of a shadow. It's easy to ignore when the light is bright and everything feels secure. But when darkness falls, the absence of that shadow becomes undeniable. Similarly, when you remove your energy, attention, and emotional support, it creates a gap they can't ignore. They start questioning, why don't they need me anymore? That discomfort often triggers the impulse to reach out. But by then, you'll realize you don't need them to come back. You've already moved forward. The growth, healing, and peace you found in their absence have built a life where their presence is no longer required. Stoic reflection. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Their return isn't a sign of fate or unfinished business. It's simply the echo of your absence in their world. Mindset shift. I am not the person they left behind. I am the person who grew in their absence. Practice. Step 1. The reflection exercise. When someone from your past resurfaces, pause and reflect. What have I gained since they left? Focus on your growth, not their reappearance. Step 2. The anchor list. Write down 3 core values you discovered or strengthened during their absence. Use this list to anchor yourself when faced with the temptation to revisit the past. Step 3. Emotional audit. Assess your feelings honestly. Are you responding to them from a place of genuine interest or emotional nostalgia? Clarity comes when you differentiate between missing a person and missing a feeling. Step 4. The would I choose them now test. Ask yourself, if I met this person today, with everything I know now, would I choose them? Often the answer reveals how much you've outgrown the connection. Key takeaway. Their return isn't your victory. Your growth is. The ultimate power lies in realizing that you don't need the closure, validation, or connection you once thought was essential. You've already won by becoming someone who thrives with or without them. But here's the ultimate realization. It's not about whether they come back. It's about whether it still matters to you if they do. This brings us to the final move. The quiet yet powerful art of indifference. Number 7. The final move, indifference. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Hate still holds emotional ties, but indifference is the absence of those ties altogether. When their presence or absence no longer affects your peace, you've won. Indifference isn't coldness, it's freedom. It's the ability to stand tall in your own life, untouched by the echoes of people who once had power over your emotions. Example, imagine walking past an old photograph of someone who once meant the world to you. At first, it triggers memories, emotions, maybe even pain. But as time passes and you heal, you see that photo again and feel nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just neutrality. That's the quiet power of indifference. Indifference doesn't mean you never cared. It means you cared, you processed, and you grew beyond the need for their presence or validation. You've reclaimed your emotional autonomy. Stoic wisdom. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Often, it's not the person who causes the pain, but our attachment to the idea of them, the expectations, the what-ifs, the imagined futures. Indifference dissolves these illusions. Mindset shift. Their absence does not diminish my peace. Their return does not elevate my worth. Practice. Step 1. The observation test. Observe your emotions when thinking about someone from your past. Do you feel tension, longing, or resentment? If yes, you're still emotionally tethered. Acknowledge it without judgment. Step 2. The emotional distance drill. Write down situations where their actions once triggered you. Reread them from a third-person perspective, as if it happened to someone else. This detachment helps diminish emotional charge. Step 3. The neutral response exercise. When faced with news or updates about them, consciously choose neutrality. Respond with, "That's interesting," and move on. Practice this until it becomes natural. Step 4. Gratitude reframe. Instead of resenting past pain, express gratitude for the lessons learned. Write, "I am thankful for this experience because it taught me." This shifts focus from loss to growth. Key takeaway. The true power of walking away isn't in what you leave behind, it's in who you become after you let go. Indifference isn't about erasing memories, it's about removing their ability to define you. It's not the absence of care, it's the presence of peace. What does indifference mean to you? Have you ever reached that point where their presence or absence didn't affect you anymore? Comment below, I'm curious to know, how do you see it? Indifference isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of your freedom. So what's the true takeaway when it comes to walking away with strength and grace? Let's wrap it all together. So, when it feels like you have to prove your worth, remember, you don't. Your value isn't measured by someone's recognition, attention, or approval. It's defined by how deeply you honor your own peace. Walk away, not in bitterness, but in clarity. Let your absence speak louder than words, let your growth echo in the silence, and let your strength be felt without explanation. When you walk away, you create space, not just for someone to realize what they lost, but for you to realize everything you've gained. Peace, freedom, and a deeper connection to your true self. That is your victory. Reflection. Think about this. What if the closure you're waiting for isn't a conversation, but a choice? A choice to choose yourself, your growth, and your future over the weight of the past. If this resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe to Stoic Spirit, and comment below, "I choose my peace." Your story could inspire someone else who's on the same path. Your story matters. Your growth matters. Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you're embracing your own silent strength. Final thought. Stay stoic, stay strong, and always remember, your silence isn't weakness. It's the quiet roar of strength they'll hear long after you've gone. You don't need to be heard to be powerful. You just need to be true to yourself. You thought walking away was the end of the story, but it was the beginning of becoming the person you were always meant to be. Thank you for watching. Your time, presence, and growth mean more than words can say. Until next time, keep walking with quiet confidence, because you are enough, just as you are. And here's what I want you to remember. The next time you feel tempted to prove your worth, ask yourself, do I really need to, or have I already proven it to the most important person, myself? You've already won by choosing yourself.